I don't let him track out, nigga. I don't let him catchy. Niggas know what's going on.
I'ma load it up, I'ma load it up.
All that tough talk, nigga, can be target practice. These 223s taking souls and they doing damage. Stink team with them niggas with exotic fast. So young bitch it in my ear, I just flew flamed her. Gang of them just strip that nigga pieces, grab his phone after. Monkey nuts jumping out the top, going chimpanzee. Gave him SpongeBob hoes, I know he miss Sandy. Hit her up with donut holes, he just yell Randy. They ain't on nothing, cock back and blow some. Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. I think you owe some, strip, he's a pole dancer. He only said one word and I just start blasting. They ain't on nothing. Cock back and blow some. Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. I think you owe some. Strip, he's a pole dancer. He only said one word and I just start blasting. Nigga, they ain't know nothing. Cock back and blow some, bitch. Nigga, Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. Nigga,
yeah.
I think you owe some. Strip, he's a pole dancer.
You know the truth.
He only said one word and I just start blasting.
Had to flee that scene, it was kinda graphic. It's our first mixtape, but we been established. Give him 32 shots, I'm finna show him magic. Off the muscle, nigga, this a guaranteed classic. If we poppin' out, you know I'm bringing stick, of course. Ballin' out on niggas, I ain't out here tryna play no sport. Kick her out the crib, tell a bitch not to fight the force. Strip a tall nigga, pockets loose, he came up short. Niggas nerves and dorks, count these automatic bullets. Hit him in his head, turned his dreadlocks into a mullet. I think you owe something, strip for me, give it up. Got home and hit the field again, that was not enough. Like a nigga double dutch, hop, skip, run and jump. Tripping, falling, pulling up his jeans, he was out of luck. Too gritty, bitch, this for life, this is not for fun. Niggas took my dog, now all these niggas be hard to trust.
They ain't on nothing, cock back and blow some. Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. I think you owe some. Strip, he's a pole dancer. He only said one word and I just start blasting. They ain't on nothing, cock back and blow some. Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. I think you owe some. Strip, he's a pole dancer. He only said one word and I just start blasting. Nigga, they ain't on nothing, cock back and blow some, bitch. Nigga, Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. Nigga, I think you owe some. Strip, he's a pole dancer. He only said one word and I just start blasting.
We Japanese still. You getting cooked in front of your family? Like a Japanese meal. It's y'all shoot the hibachi and none of you niggas can stop me. But can't help but watch me. We back, man. Look, we gonna finish this dude off. We gonna finish these trolls off. If we done with it, we spinning the block. Was not able to finish last night. We're gonna deal with this white Hebrew Israelite WHI racist redneck and his talking points. For the people that did not see last night's episode, we had a troll do troll things, spew racism, calling Black Americans and Africans pre-Adamites, saying that they were trapped in a place, but he can't even give any empirical proof that they were in that place during the time period that he claims, claiming that they're Basel West Africans. There's no evidence of that. Claiming that E1B1A never came out of sub-Saharan Africa, was never in North Africa. We beat that into the ground yesterday. So we might touch on some of those articles, some of those points tonight, just to recapitulate. With no further ado, I got my brother, the Savant from the Levant, in the building. What's going on, Ivry?
Hey, shalom, shalom. It's good to be back on the show. And just like you said, this is the last time we're going to touch on this dude because he's frankly irrelevant. So we're going to just finish up what we started from the first episode, and then we're done because he's completely irrelevant. But this is a learning lesson to y'all, though, for y'all, though, on how to counter and debunk people who are pseudo and who don't understand the studies and don't read the studies and frankly don't know the studies. So this is mostly for y'all, more than trying to convince him, because he's already convinced that we're basically nothing, because he's clearly a racist. But yeah.
We got my brother Shawn Michaels in the building, chin checking motherfuckers. Let's get it.
Shalom, shalom, family. All right, so we back again. Get ready to finish mopping the floor with this racist ass troll. Yeah, let's get it.
All right. So let's get back to where we were at. And if y'all remember from last time, exit that. If y'all remember from last time, I believe we were right here. It kind of moved just now. I don't know why it did, but we stopped in this section. I don't know if comments were deleted or not. Hold on. We stopped at a section dealing with, yeah, it looks like something changed a little bit. Hold on. So we stopped around here because I had it at where we were at. There it is. Yeah, we stopped right here. And let me change this. I want to just make this a little bit. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. Let's zoom in. All right. So, wait, hold on. Is this it? Wait, hold on. This is it. This isn't it. My bad. Sorry, y'all. Right here. All right. So, just to sort of recap on some of it, we kind of went through half of this comment. We didn't go through the last half, but some of the stuff he said, is basically going to be repeated, and it's basically going to be him saying, "Oh, there's no evidence of E-M2 having a North African origin." So let's kind of get into some of this. We'll start right here. We'll read this section. And like I said, I'm not going to be reading everything he says because he sort of repeats himself quite a bit. And some stuff is kind of irrelevant. Like he'll talk about East African populations, and that's not even my argument. So, yeah, we'll kind of just read some of this section. So he says, and hold on for a second. I want to make sure I actually make this in a way where I can go back and forth. So hold on. I want to be able to jump between.
You don't see the share tab? You don't share?
Yeah, I pushed.
No, I'm talking about the tab where it says share this tab instead.
Am I on that where I can just flip to different like this?
Go back and share the tab.
Oh.
Just share the tab real quick.
All right. Share screen, and then is this one right? Like this?
Yeah, like just sharing a tab. No, not that. Like this. Look, I'm gonna share my tab. Right, I'll share this right here. Look, so I'm sharing a tab.
Right.
You can't see this now, but there is an option that says sharing this tab to StreamYard.com. Stop sharing, and then there's another button that says view tab to StreamYard. So if I click another page, there's a button right underneath the toolbar that says share this tab instead. If I click that button, boom, now you're looking at this window. All right, I can do this. I can do this all day. Look, boom.
Okay, so I thought that's what I was doing. All right, let me try that.
Yeah.
And so you just push share screen, and then do I go to entire screen, window, or Chrome tab?
Chrome tab.
All right, and then I push StreamYard.
So what you're gonna do is after you click present share screen, Chrome tab, pick the window that you want to share. Any window you want to share.
Yeah, I want to share this one right here.
All right. So if you want to switch to another tab, click that tab.
Like this?
Yeah, click another tab.
Yeah.
Once you click it, there should be a button up top that says share this tab instead.
Like that.
There you go.
Oh, okay. That's how people do that. Interesting. All right, thanks. Mm-hmm. All right. Little technical difficulties, learning some new things about StreamYard, but here we go. So he says, furthermore, you also seem to allude to a Iron Age migration or a 1100 BP migration from North Africa for E-M2. Now, this right here goes to show you that he doesn't understand the scientific jargon or history or time periods, because 1000 BP is not the Iron Age. And also in this conversation, I never alluded to a Iron Age migration for E-M2. I barely even wanted to talk about it at the beginning of it. But let me show you what BP means, because BP is not BC. So right here, BP, before present, that's what it stands for. So how far back is 1000 BP? Well, 1000 BP would be in 120 AD, not the Iron Age, buddy, not the Iron Age. So he doesn't know his time periods. He doesn't know the scientific lingo. So this guy really shouldn't.
This nigga was clearly lying.
This guy really shouldn't be looked at as some great person who understands these papers. Doesn't know time periods. But anyways, let's get started. And that's why this is our last video on him, because it's just completely irrelevant. All right. And then he says,
before you go on, so he was trying. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So he was trying to say that this was found around 3100 BC, because he thinks it says 1100 BC, right? I mean 3100 years before present, which would bring you about 1100 BC. That's what he was trying to say here in this quote.
Right. This, and it's
Tell
crazy.
Tell me you don't understand scientific literature without saying you don't understand scientific literature. Go ahead, bro.
And then people are like hyping him up, which goes to show you the people hyping him up and that agree with him also don't understand scientific literature. But anyways, so he says, well then, how come your average E-M2 Igbo from Nigeria, Yoruba from Benin, Ashanti from Ghana, Hutu from Rwanda, Bamalinke from Cameroon are close to 100% sub-Saharan African with very marginal North African / Levantine admixture, whilst groups like, and then he goes into East African populations, going to skip that, because I never denied that East Africans had North African and Levantine DNA. So we're going to begin right here. So if you claim E-M2 was in North Africa, and again, it's not me claiming this. Let me just go to a paper really quick that says it. For instance, if you go to the paper titled A History of Male Migration in and out of the Green Sahara, it talks about the North African origin. Well, it has a map that shows it. E-M2 would have been in the Green Sahara. Shows you right here, E-M2, Green Sahara. And then shows the dispersal map. And it even talks about it right here. It says the E-M2, E1B1A Bantu lineages lie phylogenetically within the E-M2 Green Sahara lineage. So it was indeed in North Africa in the Green Sahara. This is why I posit this. This is why I say this, because I'm getting it from papers, not my imagination. But anyways.
Hold on, brother. Go back to that paper, man. You gotta know how to drive the knife in and twist it. When you drive the knife, you stab them. Now you got to twist the blade. Go back to that.
All right, we're back to it.
Right where it says here, the EM2 Bantu lineage lie phylogenetically within the EM2 Green Sahara lineage, and show that at least 3 explosive lineages expansions beginning 4.9 to 5.3 thousand years ago. That's your upper bound when we start to see EM2 expanding, right? And where does it expand from? The Green Sahara, according to the scientific paper. This is North Africa. It says these events of EM2 Bantu expansion are slightly later than the RVA8 expansion, right? So this is newer than the RVA8 expansion, which comes from Villabruna, Italy, and Europe, right? And highlight the range of male demographic changes in the mid-Holocene north of the Sahara, in addition to 4 trans-Saharan haplogroups. This is happening in North Africa. That's what the paper is saying. Okay? North of the Sahara, in addition to the 4 Saharan haplogroups, haplogroup EM81, which derived from EM78 approximately 13,000 years ago, became very common in present-day populations as a result of another massive expansion, approximately 2,000 years ago.
Yep, and it shows maps, by the way, illustrating this. Like earlier, it shows between 5,000 years ago and 12,000 years ago when the Sahara was green. Let me just push it, actually. when the Sahara was green. E-M2 was there, yes. E1B1A was in North Africa in the Green Sahara, as well as it talks about E-M78 and RV88. And then it has a map, like I said, where Yeshua was describing, and then it shows the dispersal. So anybody
what each see they're emanating from where? Where are they emanating from? And C. Go down to C.
C. North Africa.
Where are those arrows? They're emanating from North Africa. Now go down.
I think that's it. That's all.
Right here. Right. Let me read the right here. Let me read this real quick. It says simplified Y chromosomal phylogeny and inferred past or observed present-day distribution of relevant Y chromosomal lineages. A is a calibrated phylogenetic tree of Y chromosomal lineages discussed in the text. Green shading represents the period when the present-day Sahara Desert was green and fertile. Lineages represented by field pentagons have undergone very rapid expansions, which includes E1B1A, right? Since the Green Sahara period 5,000 to 12,000 years ago, the green shading indicates that the present-day Sahara Desert was green and fertile. The colors with the large ovals represent 4 Y chromosomal haplogroups deduced to be present in the region at this time. You see that? At this time. So stroll up real quick. Stroll up.
Right here.
No, keep going. Keep going. Stroll up to B. To B. This means E1B1A, EM78, RVA8, A3M13. This paper is saying they were all in this area between 12 to 5,000 years ago. That's what this paper is saying. Go back down. Now go back down to the description. It says here, the colors within the large oval represent the 4 Y chromosomal haplogroups deduced to be present in the region at this time. Specific locations are not implied. The arrows indicate the inferred origin to these groups to the north or south, but specific origins and routes are not implied. C is the present-day distribution of the 4 green Sahara Y chromosomal haplogroups. Yellow shading indicates the Sahara Desert. Each circle represents a sample population with the presence of or absence of the 4 green Saharan haplogroups shown by the colored sectors. Other haplogroups may also be present in these positions but are not shown. The small arrows indicate the inferred northwards and southwards movement of these haplogroups when the Sahara became uninhabitable. Now stroll up again. Stroll up again. Oh. Yeah, to C. So go up one more to B real quick so we can know what color is what. The green is the EM2. The purple is the RVA8. The blue is the EM78. The A3 is M13. Now go down.
Right here. See?
Yes. So you can see the green is going south and north. Right. Do y'all see that?
Right.
So E1B1A will be traveling south and north.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As the desert desiccates. This is what the scientific paper is saying.
That honestly can explain even Ramses III's haplogroup.
Right, because it's in Egypt.
Yep.
This is what the scientific paper is saying. See, we actually read this stuff and comprehend it very well. Y'all don't. All right?
You just want to spend all day on Facebook trolling people.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of read.
And go to anyways. B. Oh, go back. Oh, you ain't gonna leave no meat on this bone, brother. Go back to B. Go up to B.
All right, at B.
YAP. So you got yellow and green coming from this direction in East Africa. Why? It's because they say E1B1A, according to the secularists, starts in East Africa and then spreads. But according to the new paper, it's saying it spread it from East Africa into North Africa. A3M13, the same thing. RVA8 is saying it's coming from the Levantine corridor, which is one of the famous theories to explain it. And EM78, which is E1B1A, which is YAP, which is the brother to E1B1B, which is the brother to E1B1A, is said to come from that region as well. So that's what you're seeing there.
Mm-hmm.
Now go back
to C or
no, you can go back to the comment now.
Okay, I got you. All right. So where were we?
You gotta drive that blade in and twist it, brother. Just twist it. Don't just stab them. Twist the blade.
Got you, bro. Got you. So we stopped right here. So if you claim E-M2 was in North Africa, again, we don't claim this. We're following what the genetic papers say. What was their autosomal profile like? Now, here's the interesting thing.
Sorry. I'm so sorry, Avery. I'm gonna shut up after this. I'm so you
No,
know how
it's
the pastor say he got the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? And David said the truth was in his bones and he couldn't hold it in. It was like fire. That's how I feel right now. Go back to that paper, brother. Go back to that paper.
All right. Go to the reading or go to the
Go back to the up to the B.
Oh, B. All right, hold on. Right here.
Where do they posit E1B1A traveling from to North Africa? Just look at the arrow.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming from
East Africa.
Yeah. Where do they say it comes from?
They say it comes from like West Africa with the Shumlanka remains.
All right, I'm shutting up. I'm shutting up. Go ahead.
Yeah, it don't look like it's coming from West Central Africa. It looks like it's coming from East Africa, where we also find our E1B1A brother E-M 329, which is Motorman. But anyways, so he says, so if you claim E-M2 was in North Africa, what was their autosomal profile like? Now, here's the interesting thing. Again, this dude claims that he knows DNA studies and that he reads DNA studies. Little does he know that when it comes to West African populations like the Yoruba, they actually carry Ibero-Mauritian DNA. But if he actually read the studies and knew this, he wouldn't be asking this question, what will their autosomal DNA be like? And just to dig a little bit deeper, he exposes it right here. He says, and if you say it's contemporaneous with modern North Africans, then explain why modern E-M2 groups pretty much score 100% sub-Saharan African, West African specific, with very marginal North African / Levantine ancestry, which is indicative of a North African origin. Exceptions being those on the
Periphery.
i.e. Fulani, who admixed recently with North Africans and Bantus from Tanzania, Kenya and Tanzania, yada yada. I'm not going to read all that because it's talking about like Sahelian groups. So that's not really the focus. So basically saying that West African groups like the Yoruba carry 100% sub-Saharan African DNA. We're going to look at that here in a second. So he says, please do explain why anywhere E-M2 E-M2 expands into scientists. I think he meant to say something else right here. Might be a typo. Into scientists observe West African ancestry if you came from North Africa. Again, papers already say this, so he's just repeating himself, like I said. And why everywhere you spread you spread Niger-Congo languages. It's ironic that you don't spread any ancestry related to North Africa or the languages that existed in North Africa, despite claiming that you were just there 1,000 years ago. So a lot to cover in this comment, and I actually covered it here, a lot of it, but I think I want to start fresh and new. I want to address it specifically by going to his next comment, and then we're going to look at some studies dealing with the genomes. So he says, show me one E-M2 ancient sample found in North Africa. I don't see any. So I'm just going to quickly pull up Ramses III, just really quick, because that's actually two ancient E1B1A samples in North Africa, because Egypt is in North Africa. So let's just do that. Here it is.
Ramses the first, Ramses the second, and the third.
Ramses the third and his son.
Right. Sorry.
So the paper says, the title of the paper is "Insights from Ancient DNA Analysis of Egyptian Human Mummies: Clues to Disease and Kinship." And just if you read the paper, it says, and this came out in 2020, by the way, there's two papers that deal with Ramses III, actually. There's one in 2012, and then there's one in the year 2020. So it says the genetic results confirm that both mummies had the same Y chromosome molecular signatures, E1B1A haplotype and one set of identical autosomal alleles suggesting a father-son relationship. So yes, we do have two ancient E1B1A samples in North Africa. All right, back to this. So let's see. So he says, and I don't care much for modern admixture. We've got hunter-gatherers all the way in Namibia that have Levantine ancestry, which trickled down from further north. So if West Africans have trickles of North African from pastoralist groups like Fulani, then that's whatever. Regardless, the point is it's not significant. Who cares about 1%, 2%, 3%, or even 5%? It's minuscule compared to the amount other African populations carry. So keep that in mind. He thinks that 1 to 5% is minuscule. We're going to see how much ancient North African DNA that West African groups like the Yoruba carry. But let's keep going. E-M2 is directly associated with Niger-Congo groups, and their signature ancestry is West African. It's not North African or Levantine, which is what you would expect if you truly recently migrated from North Africa. So keep this part in mind. He says that E-M2, it is not North African or Levantine, which is what we would expect if you carry recently migrated from North Africa when it comes to autosomal DNA. So keep that in mind. No North African, no Levantine. Let's see. We can skip over some of this because he's kind of repeating himself. And then he says again right here, don't tell me E-M2 is North African and that it only migrated 1,000 years ago when you guys don't speak Afroasiatic languages. Not entirely true, but I'm not going to go down the language route. I want to stick more on the DNA. And then he says, don't carry significant North African. Let me highlight it. Don't carry significant North African or Levantine ancestry. It says right there. So let's see. Then he goes into groups like the Fulani and the Hausa who carry different West Asian haplogroups. Let's see. So yeah, let's get into the next segment, which is going to deal with the DNA makeup of Yoruba groups. So we're going to go to this paper right here.
I really think this
Paleolithic.
dude has. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I really think this dude has ADD. Because one moment he's saying, and it's all in the same comment. One moment he's saying there's no Levantine or North African DNA. Then he turns around and says minimal.
Right, I noticed that as well. I think let's see right here. He talks about minuscule amounts, and then down here he talks about no Levantine. Yeah, it's not North African or Levantine. Hear me highlight it. It's not North African or Levantine. You know, he's flipping back and forth. But basically, he's saying we have none to minuscule amounts.
Right.
So just keep that in mind as we look at this paper. So this paper, excuse me. This paper is titled Paleolithic DNA from the Caucasus Reveals Core of West Eurasian Ancestry. So let's see how much ancient North African DNA, Yoruba, do West African groups carry? So if you read this, it says, moreover, our model predicts that West Africans represented by Yoruba had 12.5% ancestry from a Turfer-Alt related group rather than Turfer-Alt having ancestry from an unknown sub-Saharan African source. This may have mitigated the limited Neanderthal admixture present in West Africans. So indeed, yes, West African groups like Yoruba do have some type of ancient North African DNA. The Turfer-Alt group is another name you can call them is Ibero-Mauritians. And that's at like 12%. So he's dead wrong. It's not 1%. It's not 2%. It's not 3, 5%. It's 12%. So let's get back to the paper. Unless y'all want to go into it, Yeshub or James or Sean, if you're there. Is there anything you want? I will take that as a no.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me put some YAP up in it. Look what the brother just read, man. So there's some other stuff that I'm pulling up in the background. That's why I wasn't able to take the mic off real quick and respond to what you said. So you just read right here where it says, such a scenario would explain President Y chromosome haplogroup E in the Natufians and Levantine farmers, a common link between Levant and Africa. Something these guys sleep on, right? It's moreover, our model predicts that West Africans represented by Yoruba had 12.5 plus or minus 1.1% ancestry from a Tafra-related group rather than Tafra having ancestry from unknown sub-Saharan African source. This means that the sub-Saharan African source found in early North Africans is related to the Yoruba. That's what this is saying. That's what this is saying. This is why they're coming to the conclusion that EM2 or E1B1A had to be in North Africa.
Exactly. Because how else would Yoruba get Ibero-Mauritian DNA, and how else would Ibero-Mauritians get Yoruba DNA if both groups at some point didn't admix with one another? They both had to have been in North Africa at the same time and admix with one another, which is when, and then genetic exchange occurred where some Yoruba got a little bit of Ibero-Mauritian DNA and some Ibero-Mauritians got a little bit of Yoruba DNA. They were both in the Green Sahara. It's so simple. Anything? Do y'all want to?
Right. If you put E1B1A in North Africa, you connecting it to the Near East because they're basically the same. Just like my brother James, the argument king, says, biogeographical area. There is no genetic barrier between the two. That's why y'all don't like admitting that Ramesses and his son are E1B1A. That's why. Ramesses and his son being E1B1A puts a damn knife right through your BS and your racism.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
So let's get back to it, shall we? Back to.
Oops. Oh, you going back to the comment? Yeah, go back to the comment. That's something I want to address.
Yeah. What part? I
want to address the language part.
So he talks about the languages right here.
Yeah. When you guys don't speak Afro-Asiatic, the text sums it up perfectly. Don't tell me M2 is North African and that it only migrated 11,000 BP. Who's saying 11,000 BP? Dummy?
I never said that. Go through the whole comment section, you guys.
That's in his brain. That's in his brain.
Mm-hmm.
It says when you guys don't speak Afro-Asiatic languages. Guess what? I'm speaking what language now?
English.
I'm speaking English. We're speaking English. When we go back to West African tribes that most likely spoke a dialect of Congo or Bantu, right?
Yeah.
Niger-Kadorfian is what I'm trying to think of. Niger-Kadorfian or Bantu or spoke Islam or something of that nature. Just because a group does a language shift does not mean that group did not once speak a branch of a different language. This is idiotic at best. This is how little kindergartners think.
Right. And also, it's not like there isn't Afro-Asiatic populations in West Africa. Like, Afro-Asiatic populations exist there. Fulani, they once spoke a non-Niger Congo language.
Hold on,
and a lot of Fulani
you spoiled it, brother. You spoiled it. Let me build up to it real quick.
Okay, my part.
You went straight for you twisting that blade. You already twisting that. I'm proud of you, brother. You already twisting the blade.
But want me to go back to just keep reading this comment?
No.
All right.
Let's go. Let me pull up my my book here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I got a book here.
Go into it, bro.
You know, we're gonna go to a book by my man Dan Shu, a geneticist, right? Languages and genes. And we're gonna deal with the segment he deals with language shift because most people are remedial on the internet, want to play like they understand topics, but he don't understand how a group of people can shift languages, right?
No, he does, because he talks about the Gutians and the Hurrians that had J markers, and they like adopted Semitic languages. So
Right
he
there.
knows.
That's a language shift, dummy. So this is Languages and Genes by Dan Shu. And he talks about language replacement on page 37. He says language replacement, also known as language shift, is a cultural phenomenon in which a human community changes their predominant language to another language. Gasp! That can happen?
No. Wait.
It says, which can be caused by different mechanisms. One of the most common mechanisms is the elite dominant language replacement, where a human community gives up their own language and adopts a language of higher status. You know how the trans-Caucasian people, when they came down into the Levant, they began to speak Afro-Asiatic languages and daughter languages. That's what happened when these groups were moved from North Africa and down. They started to speak these Niger-Kadorfian and Bantu languages, right? Same concept, right? Maybe because they're intermixing with the locals of that region that probably have some semblance of language within, because they have to be able to communicate, dumbass. How would they communicate?
Stupid!
You're mixing with the women. The women are the first teachers of the children. The children are going to pick up the language of their mothers. It's easily explained. All right, so it says in their social hierarchy system. On the other hand, language replacement can also occur when immigrants reside in a new location that is surrounded by communities speaking another dominant language, hereafter called integration mode. Right? Like you can get people that speak Mandarin, move over here, send their children to American schools. Now their children are learning English. Right? You do that for 2 or 3 generations, you have a language shift. This is simple shit. Now, moving on from that, let me share a PowerPoint I did. I quoted this source that deals with a language shift with a known West African group. All right, let's read it.
Get it in.
The Fulani people are traditionally nomadic pastoralists living across a broad geographic range spanning Sudan, the Sahel, Central and Western Africa. The Fulani in our study sampled from Cameroon, clustered with the Afro-Asiatic speaking populations in East Africa in the phylogenetic analysis, indicating a potential language replacement from Afro-Asiatic to Niger-Congo in this population. All right. Prior studies suggest a complex history of the Fulani. Analysis of Y chromosome variation suggests a shared ancestry with Nilo-Saharan and Afro-Asiatic populations, whereas mtDNA indicates a West African origin. And here's the source here: African evolutionary history inferred from whole genome sequence data of 44 indigenous African populations. And that was published in 2019 in the BMC. Go ahead, brother. You got it.
You're a donut. You're so stupid. You're so stupid. You're stupid. Dumb.
According to him, since I speak English, then I must be Anglo-Saxon. From what I'm hearing.
Exactly. You must be Anglo, bro, because you speak English.
Oops, I pushed it.
Why? If you're not Anglo, then why are you speaking English? That's how childish this dude argument is. Go ahead.
So to make this a little simple for everybody, we can just deal with a situation that's like just recent. This could happen in one generation. So I have a brother. He was born in Panama, still lives in Panama. We share the same father. We both at EU 290. I speak English. He speaks Spanish. He grew up, learning his mother's culture. My father speaks English. My father's not Panamanian. You understand? So this could happen within one generation. You're growing up with your mother. You're gonna, in her land, in her homeland, or the country that she grew up in. You're gonna learn that language. That's the language that he speaks first. This is only one generation. This is between me and my brother. I yield.
All right. And by the way, Sean, check your Telegram really quick. Sent you a message. So this is my response to him that day, 4 days ago, as y'all can see right there. To this post. So I tell him, okay, so you clearly haven't studied E-M2 very much concerning its origins, which is obvious as we go further and further into this. You're focusing too much on modern times than ancient. Therefore, I'll give you three sources to read because everything you said is kind of off. I have a lot more evidence to prove a North African origin for E-M2, but I'll give you these three papers to read and it should help you out. So here are the three papers that I sent him. And it's funny because I sent him the a history of male migration in and out of the Green Sahara, which talks about E-M2 being in the Green Sahara of North Africa. I sent him this paper, Pleistocene North African genomes link Near Eastern and Sub-Saharan African human populations. This talks about Ibero-Maurusians having 36% Sub-Saharan African DNA, and part of that Sub-Saharan African DNA is West African, Yoruba, and Mande related, which again illustrates that E-M2 populations would have been in North Africa because these Ibero-Maurusians didn't just magically get Sub-Saharan African DNA. There likely was an E-M2 population there, and genetic exchange occurred. And then I sent him this paper, Paleolithic DNA from the Caucasus reveals core of West Eurasian DNA. And we just read that one. That one dealt with Yoruba having around 12% Ibero-Maurusian DNA. So these two papers kind of correlate, showing that genetic exchange occurred. Some Ibero-Maurusians got Sub-Saharan African DNA, and some Yoruba got some North African DNA. All of this should have basically clicked together and snapped to him. That should have been at the end of the conversation, but he wanted to drag it on because basically it was proved wrong. He can't accept an ancient North African for E-M2, ancient North African origin for E-M2 for some reason, or even that it was there, period. It's so weird. But so let's see if there's anything relevant in this post that he says. So yeah, he comments directly to this post, and I'm not going to read all of it because he does a lot of quoting. So he says, not a single one of these studies you've linked support or confirm your theory of E-M2 being a North African lineage. What's y'all's thoughts on that? What is y'all's thoughts on that comment right there?
He says they don't convene to a North. Not one of the studies you linked to support or confirm the theory of EM2 being North African lineage. The first study you linked disproves your assertion almost immediately from the start. According to your first source, A History of Male Migration in and Out of Green Sahara.
Sorry.
The scientists determined 4 haplogroups associated with the trans-Saharan movement and split them into 2 that originated in the north and 2 that originated in the south of the Sahara. Guess where EM2 was placed? Read below. He says, D. Atanasio et al. Hypothesized that because the Sahara has been such a strong barrier to human migration for the past 5,000 years, haplogroups that are found in the current population, both to the north and the south of Sahara, must have spread during the green phase. Previous work have identified 4 such haplogroups, A3M13, EM2, EM78, and RVA8. Likely origins of the 4 haplogroups earlier than 12,000 years ago in the location of present-day descendants. EM78 and RVA8 probably originated from the north because the most clearly related lineage was found there. EM13 and EM2 from the south. EM2 has an origin south of the Sahara. EM2 by definition is not North African. It's no coincidence it's not found in ancient DNA from North Africa. What?
Let's go right back to the paper.
No, go back to what he just said. Go back to what he just said.
My bad. Okay.
He says here, that last sentence, he said EM2 has an origin south of the Sahara. EM2 by definition is not African. I mean, it's not North African. It's no coincidence it's not found in the ancient DNA from North Africa. Did you read what he just said prior to that in that quote?
What he said,
He
right?
says previous work had identified 4 such haplogroups, A3, M13, M2, EM78, and RVA8. Before that, it says because the Sahara has been a strong barrier to the human migration for the past 5,000 years, haplogroups that are found in current populations, both to the north and the south of Sahara, must have spread during the green phase.
Which would put E-M2 in North Africa.
Right. So I'm like, is he not understanding what he's reading?
He's not. I mean, it even says it in the paper. Like it literally says, let me just go back to it.
Yeah,
really
go back
quick.
to it. Go to it. Yeah.
It even says right here, the E-M2 Bantu lineages lie phylogenetically within the E-M2 Green Sahara lineage. Like it was in North Africa. It was in ancient North Africa, the Green Sahara.
Right. So now go back to the chart. Go back to the chart. Hold on real quick. Go to the chart.
All right. Says it right here as well. E-M2 Green Sahara from 5,000 to 12,000 years ago. Shows it in the paper.
Now let's go down.
Right. Shows the dispersion from North Africa to sub-Saharan Africa.
Going south and north. Now go down.
South and north, right.
Dispersion from where? North Africa.
Right.
So right here it says simplified Y chromosomal phylogeny, inferred past or observed present-day distribution of relevant Y chromosomal lineages. Calibrated phylogenetic tree of Y chromosomal lineages discussed in the text. Green shading represents the period when the present-day Sahara Desert was green and fertile. Lineages represented by field pentagons have undergone very rapid expansions, which include EM2. The Green Sahara period, 5 to 12,000 years ago, and I'm going to address what he said about the origins, since we already addressed that. Green arrows coming from East Africa, which would be sub-Saharan Africa. Let's keep reading. It says the Green Sahara period was 5 to 12,000 years ago. Green shading indicates that the present-day Sahara Desert was green and fertile. The colors within the large oval represent the 4 Y chromosomal haplogroups deduced to be present. Highlight that for me. I want the people to see this.
Which part?
Right here where it says represents the 4 Y chromosomal haplogroups.
Underneath
B. Look B, then keep reading. The Green Sahara right there. Boom. Represents the 4 Y chromosomal haplogroups deduced to be present in the region at this time. Deduced to be present in the region at this time. This is 12 to 5,000 years ago. Right? So E1, B1A, EM2 was in North Africa. The reason why that arrow is there is going to tell you. The arrows indicate the inferred origins of these haplogroups to the north and the south. But specific origins and routes are not implied. Right? When you stroll up, go to the third one. I mean, the second one, B.
Got it.
That's the inferred position of where E1, B1A starts, or V38 starts. They believe it starts in the horn and then spreads. That's what they're saying there. But they're saying as it goes up, it mutates EM2, then disperses from where? Go back down to the description.
B.
The Green Sahara period, 5 to 12,000 years ago. The green shading indicates that the present-day Sahara Desert was green and fertile. The colors within the large oval represent the 4 Y chromosomal haplogroups deduced to be present in the region at this time. Specific locations are not implied. The arrows indicate the inferred origins of these haplogroups to the north and south, but specific origins and routes are not implied. All right, you can go back now.
All right. So, hold on. Let me click it right here. So, here's the link to Pleistocene paper. You want to take a look at that?
Yeah. So he says your second link, Pleistocene North African genomes linked Near Eastern and Sub-Saharan African human populations, is a good introduction piece to ancient North African Ibero-Maurusian genomes. However, many of their inferences quickly were replaced by a newer study, which you've attached as your third link, which was released shortly after and completely remodels the Ibero-Maurusians, who were previously thought of a mix of Natufian plus Sub-Saharan African ancestry with both West African, Yoruba, and these African hostile affinities. This is no longer thought to be the case, which is explained below. So let's go to the third source.
All right. Oh, hold on. Let me make it a little bit bigger. You don't have to probably read all of that, but
yeah, I want to read it. Hold on.
Okay.
Go. It says, according to your third source, Paleolithic. Let me blow this up. Paleolithic DNA from the Caucasus reveals core West Eurasian ancestry. The study establishes gene flow in the direction of Ibero-Maurusians into Natufians and gene flow from Ibero-Maurusians into West Africans, contrasting the earlier study above. They also touch on similarities in morphology and archaeological finds. It says our co-modeling of the Epipaleolithic Natufians Ibero-Maurusians from Tafra confirms that the Tafra population was mixed, but instead of specifying gene flow from the ancestors Natufians into the ancestors of Tafra, as originally reported, we infer gene flow from the reverse direction into Natufians. The Neolithic population from Morocco, closely related to Tafra, is also consistent with being descended from the source of this gene flow and appears to have no admixture from the Levantine Neolithic. If our model is correct, Epipaleolithic Natufians trace part of their ancestry to North Africa, consistent with morphological and archaeological studies that indicate a spread of morphological features and artifacts from North Africa into the Near East. And then he says, but more, this is his words now, but more interestingly and relevant to our discussion.
Let me start to where his words are, which is
down here after Near East, close quote after Near East.
So all of this is him right there.
In the middle, it says right here. But more interestingly and relevant to our discussion, they may not have haplogroup E being common in North African Ibero-Maurusians in the east, Natufian Levantine farmers, with one Levant PPNB form also on EM78. I don't even know why he said this. Anyway, such a scenario would also explain the presence of Y chromosome haplogroup E in Natufian Levantine farmers, a common link between Levant and Africa. Now, as for the admixture to West Africans, the following is stated. Our model predicts West Africans represented by Yoruba had 12.5 plus or minus 1.1% ancestry from Tafra-related group, rather than the Tafra have ancestry from an unknown sub-Saharan African source. This may have eliminated Neanderthal admixture present in West Africans. An advantage of our model is that it allows for local North African component in the ancestry of Tafra, rather than deriving them exclusively from Levantine and sub-Saharan African sources. Take note, both Natufians and Ibero-Maurusians belong to subclade EM35. Neither were EM2. Yes, what you just quoted kills you because it says West Africans. Our model predicts that West Africans, as we read earlier, represented by Yoruba, had 12.5 plus or minus 1.1% ancestry from Tafra-related groups. How is that possible? They had to be in the same location to be admixed with each other. The reason why we have basal West African ancestry because we admixed with people with basal West African ancestry. You have to be in the same area to procreate, to admix. So he's quoting something that's cutting him, and he doesn't understand it's cutting him. This is just silly, man. Go down.
All right. Right here, or let me see.
The supplementary information also further breaks down the admixture proportions and dates admixture as follows. A North African related population may have contributed some ancestry to sub-Saharan African population to its south, perhaps during the Holocene Green Sahara period. 11,000, 6,000 years ago. That actually helps our argument, dummy. That postdates the sample Tafra individual, which may have facilitated north to south gene flow across the Sahara. Yes, This dude, he's cutting himself now. This is a Japanese ritual suicide.
You actually have to be clever at being stupid to come up with something like this. So I clap for this girl for being a smart dumbass.
Exactly. It says, based on the very low presence of Neanderthal admixture in Europe, it has been established that 2.7 plus or minus 0.9% of the ancestry of Yoruba came from West Eurasia. 9,618 plus or minus 1825 years ago. Oh, wow. So the West Eurasian admixture in West Africa is basically dated to 10,000 BP. So much for your nonsense about 1100 BP. Who said 1100 BP? Dumbass. If you guys migrated that recently, your Western Eurasian admixture would be dated to more recent, as North African and African in general had experienced multiple ways of admixture with Eurasians, far from more recently than 10,000 years old, contributing 2.7. Exactly. So he doesn't understand what he's putting up here, right?
Clearly, very clear.
And he's trying to switch the argument. This ain't a gotcha moment. Everything you wrote helps us.
Yeah, like I told him even in the post, like I agree with what the science says.
Exactly.
Don't.
So what he shared in a nutshell is there's evidence that there was a north to south gene flow, which is what we showed. Go back to that map.
Hold on. Right here. C.
Is
that it?
Yeah. So those green arrows represent EM2. That's what that represents. And those arrows are representing the formation of the desert, the desiccation of the Sahara Desert. As it becomes drier and it becomes the desert that we know today, you see these groups spread. You see EM2, which are the green arrows, spreading southwards and northwards during this time. That's what this paper is saying. So when we're saying a gene flow happened, we agree with the science. Yes, a gene flow happened from the north to the south. That helps our argument, dummy. And that goes with what ISOG said. Let me share my screen real quick.
You're a donut. You're so stupid. You're so stupid. You're stupid. Dumb.
All right, watch this. Let me share. Let me share what ISOG says. Just as this paper says, it's all lining up. It's all harmonious. Scroll down.
Yeah, I saw. That's a good one too. Yep.
It says it has two important sublineages, E1B1A and E1B1B. E1B1A is an African lineage that probably expanded from northern Africa to sub-Saharan and equatorial Africa with the Bantu agricultural expansion. When we go back to that image, now go back to your map, brother. I'm gonna pull it up right
There
here.
we go. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. What?
We clicked it at the same time. We clicked it.
Okay. All right, my bad.
What do you see EM2 doing?
Migrating from North Africa.
So when you read about that north to south climb, EM2 is a part of that.
Let me go back to your post really quick. Can you highlight? Oh, it's already highlighted. So it says E1B1A. Let me say that again. E1B1A. Let me say that one more time. E1B1A is an African lineage that probably expanded from Northern Africa. Again, expanded from Northern Africa. Again, expanded from Northern Africa to Sub-Saharan Africa and Equatorial Africa with the Bantu agricultural expansion. Okay. And let me go back to the map really quick. Oh, that's actually what a scientific peer review paper actually illustrates. Interesting.
Stupid.
All right, let's get
Which
back.
will explain, just like the paper said, why you see E1B1A traveling southwards much later. That expansion happens much later. It's a recent phenomenon because these people groups obviously migrated from some other locality.
Facts. Big facts. So let's get back to the post at question. And where did you? Oh, I guess we kind of already covered it. We don't really have to
Cover what? Hold on. We keep reading. Hold on.
Where'd you stop?
Right there. The following study touched on some of the various admixtures. It says the following study touched on some of these various admixture events I mentioned above, and they also have identical admixture dates for the admixture in West Africa as the previous study. African genetic diversity provides novel sights into evolution history and local adaptations. I've quoted this paper a lot of times. The following observation was made. Eurasian admixture appears to have appeared over at least 3 time periods, with ancient admixture in Central West Africa, for example, Yoruba from Nigeria, occurring 7.5 to 10.5 thousand years ago. Older admixture in East Africa, Ethiopia, occurring between 2.4 and 3.2 thousand years ago, and more recent admixture between 0.15 and 1.5 thousand in some East Africans. Again, this helps our case, not yours.
Yep.
There shouldn't be any Eurasian DNA if they were just harboring in the South.
Yeah,
they were stuck in Western Central Africa, like you said earlier.
Mm-hmm. They should have 0%.
They shouldn't have any. Why do we even find this, dumbass? You're just you're stumbling over your fucking self at this point. It says, interesting how the 2 unrelated studies observe the same pattern. Exactly, dummy, in West Africans, and practically identical dates for when this admixture event occurred. Both dated to the Holocene period, specifically 10,000 years ago. The fact that West Africans lack ancestry related to more now you're trying to cha-cha slide. You're done. You're finished.
Hibachi,
nigga. The fact that West Africans lack ancestry related to more recent West African Eurasian admixture events that shaped the genetic landscapes of North Africa and the Horn of Africa is very telling. If EM2 recently migrated from the north, we expect signals of the newer admixture events. But nope, we should also observe the same haplogroup diversity we see further north, but that's not the case, with the exception of Sahelian groups. And this is the dumb shit we're talking about. He's still trying to buck against it just going from the north. What the hell? Go back to the paper. What did we just fucking read?
This dude needs to really pay attention.
What is this showing y'all again? The green arrows is showing you E1B1A having the dispersal from the north.
Right.
That's what it's showing you from the north.
Stupid!
And as you can see, you do have haplogroup variation down south. Look right there. You see those different colors? Those are different haplogroups. The purple is RVA8, the green is EM2. What's the go up real quick so I can see what the blue?
I think blue is E1B1B, but I might be wrong. Let me just
E1B1B, yes.
Let's see, 1B1B.
Yeah.
I'm 78.
And the orange is A3M13. You dumbass.
Very simple stuff.
And you see haplogroup T in fucking Cameroon, dummy.
Which is a Eurasian marker, yeah. T is in Cameroon. RV88 is in Cameroon too. And that's a Eurasian.
R1B period is in Cameroon.
So yeah, I don't understand this whole idea.
That whole post was a Japanese ritual self-sacrifice, man. That's what you just stabbed yourself in the stomach and bled out looking dumb as fuck.
Ari.
He committed Sudoku, I think it's called. So I basically grill him, and I'm not going to read everything that I said, but basically I sent him a lot of information explaining how E-M2 had a North African origin. I'll read some of it. I won't read all of it because this is my post. But here we go. Like I said, I don't think you've studied E-M2. It's clearly hasn't, and you've missed the point as to why I posted only 3 studies proving a North African origin for E-M2. But like I said, I have more sources, and best believe I do, that easily can support a North African origin for E-M2. And so I kind of go down and break down into it. So I say the downstream S&P E-M180 may have originated in the humid South Central Sahara or Saharan savanna/grasslands of North Africa between 14,000 BP and 10,000 BP. Amid the Green Sahara, the mutation for sickle cell originated in the Sahara or in the northwest forest regions of Western Central Africa by at least 7,300 years ago, though possibly as early as 22,000 years ago. The ancestral sickle cell haplotype to modern haplotypes, Cameroonian/Central African Republic and Benin/sickle cell haplotypes may have first arose in the ancestors of modern West Africans bearing haplogroups E1B1A-L485 and E1B1A-A1-U175, or their ancestral haplogroup E1B1A1-M4732. West Africans, Yoruba and Esan from of Nigeria, bearing the Benin sickle cell haplotype, may have migrated through the northeastern region of Africa into western regions of Arabia. Now, I'm not going to get into the rock art, but I also gave him evidence of rock art that kind of tells us that there was populations living in the Green Sahara, because he seems to not know that people were living in North Africa. It wasn't just a desert forever. So I'm going to skip all the stuff dealing with the evidence of rock art and all that type of stuff, and also talk about populations that were there. But I don't want to get into that because that would kind of show what I'm going to do when I do my deep dive video in the future on the North African origins of EM2.
Oh, brother, you quoted that paper and you didn't go to this part. I'm hurt.
Wait, are we talking? Wait, hold on. Are you talking about
the sickle cell paper, man? Hold on, I got you, bro. Big bro got you. You know what I'm saying?
We can go to the sickle cell paper. Yeah,
I ain't gonna leave you out there like that, my brother. Watch this.
Yeah, the sickle cell paper is another one that illustrates a North African origin, but I didn't go.
Right. When Garfield tried to invoke this paper without reading it, we bust his ass on it, right? So
Right.
this is a whole genome sequence-based haplotypes reveal single origin of the sickle allele during the Holocene wet phase. Remember, he mentioned the Holocene. Oh, so that's more evidence that we were in North Africa, dummy.
Yeah, the Holocene was the phase when the Sahara was green and livable, because he seems to think that Sahara was like always a desert.
Look,
It wasn't.
this is what. So see, when Garfield said, "Oh, this proves we came from West Africa," you didn't fucking read this paper, did you? It says here, we investigate the origin of sickle allele by using whole genome sequence data from a total of 2,932 individuals from the 1,000 Genomes Project. The African Genome Variation Project, which I've quoted a lot, that shows that we do have Eurasian genes, and Qatar, which the African Genome Variation Project, which he tried to quote, shoot flies in his face as well, because it tells you that sub-Saharan African populations were not isolated, and also tells you that modern populations may not represent ancient ones. That's what the African Genome Variation Project paper tells you.
Right.
It says we identified a total of 156 sickle carriers. We classified haplotypes by using phase sequence data comprising dialytic sites, both single nucleotide polymorphism and short insertions or deletions. We then use combinations of 4-time simulation, phylogenetic network analysis, and correlations analysis to infer a single origin of the sickle allele approximately 7,300 years ago during the Holocene wet phase or Green Sahara.
Wait, the Green Sahara, North Africa?
North Africa, man.
Oh my goodness.
So when ISOG says this, hold on. When ISOG says this, E1B1A is an African lineage that probably expanded from Northern Africa to Sub-Saharan and Equatorial Africa with the bond to agriculture expansion.
So that's
not far off.
One paper saying it?
That's very harmonious.
Right.
That's very harmonious. When was this paper written? Hold on, let me go back.
We basically have like 5 papers talking about, you know, ancient North Africans having Yoruba DNA, Yoruba having North African DNA, ancient North African DNA, papers talking about E1B1A starting in North Africa and migrating in North Africa, and what else? Having genes like sickle cell being connected.
He quoted papers showing that it didn't come from North Africa, and right after before he said that, he quoted a paper saying we had Eurasian genes.
Exactly.
From the Holocene, which makes sense because we were in our ancestors were in North Africa. Dickhead.
You actually have to be clever at being stupid to come up with something like this. So I clap for this girl for being a smart dumbass.
Watch this real quick. Hold on. I want to get to the discussion. We read that part.
Yeah, there's
right
so much evidence. It's actually kind of insane, but you know.
Look what it says. Because I remember Garfield made an ass of himself trying to use this. You were always in West Africa. You never been nowhere else because of sickle cell. And he quoted this paper. I'm like, Garfield, did you even fucking try to read it? Did you even attempt?
Just skimmed over it.
It says our results indicate the origin of sickle cell mutation was in the middle of the Holocene wet phase or Neolithic subpluvial, which lasted from 7,500 to 7,000 BC to 3,500 to 3,000 BC. That's the range. This time was the most recent of the Green Sahara periods during which the Sahara experienced wet and rainy conditions. Our results thus support. This is what the conclusion that they came to with this paper. Our results thus support the Green Sahara as a possible place of origin of the sickle mutation. He only focused on this one, an alternative hypothesis. But the result of the paper says the Green Sahara, which matches perfectly with everything else we read. Pull that paper up that you've been bringing up all night. Go back to that one.
Wait, hold on. Let me push you right here. Here we go. Back to the paper. One of many papers that talk about a North African origin for E-M2. Here we go. One of many. There. So basically, sickle cell would have been in the Green Sahara right there. Can y'all hear me? Am I?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, so sickle cell, its origin would have been with E1B1A populations in the Green Sahara, right there, where we see. Well, hold on, let me go up to the shaded part because it says that the green represents the Green Sahara. So up there, and just so y'all know, this is another paper talking about a North African origin for E1B1A. I just want to show y'all that. Here, let me scroll up. We're talking about this paper right here, a history of male migration in and out of the Green Sahara. And Yeshua was reading the sickle cell paper. So these are like two papers talking about a North African origin, the green E1B1A origin in the Green Sahara. So it's not like it's one; it's like a few different ones. Was there something you was going to bring out with this, or?
No, I was just showing that that's where they were. Like this paper says, it said that they were present in those areas that you see there, which is North Africa. And in the paper that was 2020, I think, after that was another paper, The Peopling of the Green Sahara. It states that that's why you see E1B1A above the Sahara, because it represents that they were all congealed at one point. They were all aggregated at one point in North Africa. The reason why you dickheads don't want us in North Africa, I'm going to show you something. This is why you don't want us in North Africa.
Yeah, I was about to say, why don't they want us there? Because it's just a geographical region. Why do you fight against it? I don't get it. Just a geographical region. I don't understand. Because it's not like in the post, I was trying to claim that, North Africa was always black. It had nothing but black people. I never said that type of stuff in my posts. I never tried to allude to E1B1A being the only population in North Africa. I was very much aware that other groups were in North Africa. So I don't get the hate. I don't get it.
I get the hate. It's called racism.
Ah, there it is.
You know, it goes back to the old adage in the 1800s. The black has no ancestry, no religion, no tradition, no nothing, no culture. Right? That's what was taught.
Right.
So,
right, unfortunately,
who are we to make some claims like this? Who are we? Right? You just a black pre-Adamite, as they called you, right? That's what we are. We're all pre-Adamites, not even fucking humans, beasts of the earth, according to them.
Yep.
Now, let me share my screen here.
Which is something Adam did support, by the way. He had, there's a comment of him saying that, but anyways.
Share screen. Let's go to who we are and how we got here by David Wright, page 112 to 113.
Ooh, we're getting to the basal Eurasians. Oh.
It says here, Lazarus called this lineage basal Eurasian to denote its position as the deepest split in the radiation of lineages contributing to non-Africans. Basically, that split that happened that separated non-Africans from Africans, that group that left Africa and migrated, according to the secular scientists, that initial split, they call it the basal Eurasians, right? So the basal Eurasians were a new ghost population, one as important as the ancient North Eurasians, measured by the sheer number of descendant genomes they have left behind. The extent of the deviations of the four population test away from the value of 0 that would be expected if the population were related by a simple tree indicates that this ghost population contributed about a quarter of our ancestors, of present-day Europeans and Near Easterners. So I'm going to skip down here. An extraordinary feature of the basal Eurasians compared to all other lineages that have contributed to present-day people outside of Africa is that they harbor little or no Neanderthal ancestry. In 2016, we analyzed ancient DNA from the Near East to show that people who lived in the region 14,000 to 10,000 years ago had approximately 50% basal Eurasian ancestry. This is before the Trans-Caucasian people came down. This is when this region was primarily YAP dominated, right? It says about twice the proportion in Europeans today, plotting the proportion of basal Eurasian ancestry against the proportion of Neanderthal ancestry. We realize that the less basal Eurasian ancestry a non-African person has, the more Neanderthal ancestry he or she has. So I'm going to go down here. The ancient presence of basal Eurasia becomes even clearer when one considers that people who lived 10,000 years ago or more in what are now Iran and Israel each had around 50% basal Eurasian ancestry. This lets you know that these YAP people, the YAP markers was here during this time. So the basal Eurasians were a major and distinctive source of human genetic variations. with multiple subpopulations persisted for a long period of time. Now, here's the kicker here. The peoples of North Africa owe most of their ancestry to West Eurasian migrants.
Oh, snap.
Making the deep genetic paths in the region difficult to discern. Read that again. The peoples of North Africa owe most of their ancestry to West Eurasian migrants. This is why they don't want to allow E1B1A to be in the conversation of North Africa. You put E1B1A in the context of North Africa, then you open up its relatedness to West Eurasia.
Sad. Very, very sad. Especially since I'm not even demarcating anybody else's ancestry. But anyways. Let's skip that. And also comment this to him as well. By the way, when I commented to him, he never addressed any of my statements. He tried to talk about other stuff. He never directly addressed my my comments. So I also talk about the Turfer alt remains, and I talk about how, you know, they have 63.5% Levantine related DNA, but sub-Saharan Africa, the Turfer alt, or the Ibero-Mauritians, also had 36.5% sub-Saharan African related ancestries. And when it came to the it says the Turfer alt individuals also exhibited higher levels of indigenous African, sub-Saharan African ancestry than do modern North Africans. The sub-Saharan African DNA in Turfer alt individuals is best simplified most of all by modern West Africans, Yoruba or Mande. Those are obviously West African peoples. And then I talk about this. And here's the interesting thing. So he, in the future that y'all are about to see once we get down further and further in the comments, he's going to say that Yoruba don't carry 8.6% West Eurasian DNA. He's going to say that, oh, that's coming from a paper back in 2015. You're using outdated studies. You're using papers that had errors in the DNA. The Yoruba don't carry 8.6% West Eurasian DNA. And guess what? My paper that I'm talking about in this post isn't from 2015. Well, we're going to get into that. Let me just read what I said. So I said genetic studies have shown the Yoruba to cluster most closely with other West Africans. Yoruba people are largely found within the E1B1A subclade of the E-M2 haplogroup, along with the Ewe, Ga, and Bambalinke peoples of West Africa and Cameroon. Some genetic studies have also found evidence of West Eurasian admixture in Yoruba populations, with up to 8.6% West Eurasian DNA being found in modern Yorubas. Again, more evidence that Yoruba peoples carry West Eurasian DNA. Anyways, it says this admixture may have been introduced 7,500 through 10,500 years ago from North Africa during the Green Sahara. Wow, another bit of evidence of E-M2 in the Green Sahara. And then, so I'm going to kind of skip over this. I talk a lot about different stuff, and I go back into ancient wall art. Was there anything you wanted to add to that before I get to his comment?
That was beautiful, man. That was beautiful. Did you show the paper?
Later on, I'm going to in this video, but I just sent him this information. I let him, try to look it up, but he looked up the wrong paper. So I'll show the paper that I was actually getting it from here in a second. And this is, by the way, me offering him to come on the live, and he never did because he's a spineless coward. But anyways, so here is the part where he gets it wrong, I believe. Yeah, so we're going to read this section right here. So actually, should I read some of this? I guess I'll read some of this. So he said, I don't know what the link is. By the way, it literally says StreamYard, so I don't know. He says, never heard of StreamYard. And Never heard of, who hasn't heard of streamer? Anyways, and what relevance does it have what relevance does it have
What
to
relevance?
this?
What relevance?
Yeah, what relevance does it have to this? Bro, the relevance was that I was asking you to come on and discuss. I said we can discuss this live on air. Like that was literally the relevance. But anyways, that's simple stuff. But why do you delete your reply claiming? And the reply that he's talking about was one of these posts dealing with the rock art, and I wanted to add some more information dealing with the rock art, all right here that he's talking about. So he said you quoted the older study that used the outdated mix of Yoruba and Natufian, which is very incorrect, and a two model that the newer, I always forget how you say this, but it's like Druziani or something like that, said was strongly rejected. So they opted to model the Ibero-Maurusians as Druziania plus a basal North African component. They called ancient North African, or excuse me, ancestral North African. See, pick, not my words. It's what the study says. And you said 8% West Eurasian and Yoruba? Yeah, right. The study literally states 2.7%, give or take 0.9%. So keep this in mind, you guys. He said, you said 8% something West Eurasian and Yoruba? Yeah, right. Laughing emoji, laughing emoji. So it's saying, yeah, right, to this paper I'm about to illustrate to y'all. So let's get to, all right, so I offer him to come back on. I'm going to kind of skip over that. And then he says right here, when did I ever say Yoruba have zero Ibero-Maurusian DNA? You can't read. The study specifically states 13% Ibero-Maurusians, 5% of which is West Eurasian. Now, Yeshub, is this a backpedal?
That's a Michael Phelps backpedal. Olympian backpedal, man.
Yeah, I'm beating him so bad that he can't even admit
that. That ain't a backpedal, that's a backstroke. That nigga's swimming backwards, man. Michael Phelps in the Olympics. Go ahead, man.
Let me go back to what he said way up here. Because, man, he backpedaled so hard. Because what did he say? He said, regardless, the point is, it's not significant. Who cares about 1, 2, 3%, or even 5%? It's minuscule. And then what does he say right here? He says, don't carry significant North African or Levantine ancestry. And then a little later on, way down here, he has to basically admit that, yeah, when did I say Yoruba carries 0% Ibero-Maurusian? You can't read. The study specifically stated 13% Ibero-Maurusian. Yeah, that's way more than 1, 2, and 3%. And then 5% of West Eurasian DNA. Oh my gosh, bro.
They shouldn't have none because he was absolutist at first. They should have zero. Why they got any?
Exactly. They should have none whatsoever. They should basically be like a pygmy. And then he says, and the admixture occurred 10,000 years ago. Now, who does this help? You shoot. Was the Sahara green 10,000 years ago? Oh man, he's just.
It helps us. Yep.
You actually have to be clever at being stupid to come up with something like this. So I clap for this girl for being a smart dumbass.
All right. So, which is a big issue since you claim that E-M2 and Bantus migrated from North Africa into sub-Saharan Africa during the Iron Age, yet they have no signatures of admixture from later admixture events involving Eurasian groups post-Holocene, of which there were multiple waves of admixture. So here he is lying, talking about that I said that there was an Iron Age migration from North Africa to Sub-Saharan Africa. If you go back to the comments, I never say anything like this. The only reason he's saying that this was an Iron Age migration is because he thinks 1,100 years ago is Iron Age. Let me just go back to that really quick so y'all can kind kind of recap on that. Let me find it really quick.
Yeah, he said 1100 BP. Like, that was so fucking dumb.
Extremely dumb, bro. Like, extremely. Let me see if I can find that comment.
That's him doing the Japanese sacrificial ritual, whatever.
Bro, he can't stop doing it. He can't stop doing it. Here it is. Furthermore, you seem to allude to an Iron Age migration or a 1100 BP migration from North Africa for E-M2. That's him. Let me show you the comment. That's him saying it right there. So he thinks 1100 BP before present is the Iron Age. And I showed y'all earlier, I'm just going to show y'all again, that 1,000 years ago was not the Iron Age, and that BP stands for before present. So let me just show you that. So again, can y'all see it? BP before the present.
You're not sharing. There you go.
Are. I got you.
All right, so you see right here, BP before the present. And let me show you right here. Can y'all see, by the way? I'm just, y'all can see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, so right here, when was 1,000 years ago? 1020 AD. This was not the bronze. This was not the Iron Age, my guy. This was not the Iron Age. This is Common Era AD. Oh my gosh, I have to teach this to this guy. Let me just show y'all again before we go back to the comment. Furthermore, you seem to allude to an Iron Age migration, which I never stated, or a 1,000 BP migration before present 1,000 years.
Really, nigga?
Migration from North Africa for E-M2. Anyway.
Really, nigga?
No one teaches 1,100 years ago that happened. Dumbass.
No. Never even made such a statement.
Because you don't know what the hell BP means. You don't even understand the papers that you quoted, because we've been smacking you with those papers all night. You're a fucking retard, man.
Right. I mean, right here. Bantus migrated from North Africa into the sub-Saharan Africa, but during the Iron Age. Like, no one's saying that at all. And then he says right here, so he basically goes into the fact that Yoruba indeed have Neanderthal DNA, which again supports E-M2 populations having Eurasian DNA. So he cuts himself with that. And then he says this happened around 10,000 years ago, which would be in the Green Sahara. So he cuts himself with that. And then he admits to Yoruba having 13% Ibero-Mauritian DNA. It says the admixture graph predicts that 13% of the ancestry of Yoruba came from Turfer Alt, again, admitting more that indeed E-M2 populations admixed with ancient North Africans. So yeah, he basically just cuts himself in this whole section of his post.
Japanese ritual suicide. That's what it is. Japanese ritual suicide.
Yeah, I even said right here. So admit that Yoruba have Ibero-Mauritian DNA, West Eurasian DNA, and Neanderthal DNA. Like I said, so you admitted it. And then he says, yes. Yes, they have 13% Ibero-Mauritian, of which 5% is West.
Is this your king? Huh? Is this your king?
So they have 13% Ibero-Mauritian, of which 5% is West Eurasian, and they have very small amounts of Neanderthal DNA. All of that is Eurasian. Thank you for admitting it. Anyways, however, in all of Africa, they have the lowest amounts of Neolithic Eurasian admixture. Now, this part is where he unfortunately begins to become incorrect again. Actually, the populations with the lowest amounts of Eurasian DNA is pygmy populations. And Yeshu, can you filibuster for me while I pull up a paper that talks about pygmies having lowest amounts of Eurasian DNA, not West Africans? Can you do that for me?
Yeah. So West Africans have a substantial. When we say West Africans, you got to be specific, right? So what my brother means is the E1B1A carriers or E carriers in general, because you have other E carriers in West Africa, right? What separates us is the A and B carriers of West Africa, which are Paleo Africans. They are the older group that was there. And even those groups you can't limit to just West Africa, because as you see, M13 was a part of the Green Sahara as well. What happens is they try to lump everybody that's in a particular region, and the Sudanese geneticist Muntaser touches on this. It's called continental race theory. That's basically what he's pushing. Well, you belong in this section, they belong in that section. There is no intersectionality. There is no people crossing over. There is no migration. And Muntaser warns against this because he knows, just like any other geneticist knows, there's no such thing as static populations. Populations move, they migrate. Famines happen, wars happen, power dynamics change. People die, famines, stuff happens. Food sources become scarce. It makes people move, get up, pack up, leave. So it's hard to invoke static populations, but they try to do it with E1B1A, and it's just not possible. Yesterday he said something about empirical evidence, but he can't give us any empirical evidence that E1B1A has always been in Sub-Saharan Africa, nor does it originate in Sub-Saharan Africa, especially West Central Sub-Saharan Africa. Go ahead, man.
I'm trying to find the section.
All right, here. What are you looking for?
I found it right here. I found it. So I'm going to read y'all the paper, the title of the paper, which is going to illustrate again that Yoruba populations or E-M2 populations are not the ones with the lowest amount of Eurasian DNA. It's actually pygmies. And the reason that pygmies have it is because they got it from the E carriers, E-M2 carriers, E1B1A carriers. So here's the paper. It's titled Ancient Admixture into Africa from the Ancestors of Non-Africans. So let's get into it. So we're going to read the section that literally says least gene flow, least gene flow to Central and South African hunter-gatherers. So it's going to talk about them having the least amounts. I wonder if there's like a section I want to read specifically. Yeah, I'll read this one. So it says the Khoisan individuals are particularly outliers whose ancestors are inferred to have experienced approximately half the amount of admixture seen in Nilo-Saharan and Niger, Congo, because I can't pronounce this word right now, groups. I think it's like Congofoid or something like that. Anyways. In addition, we find that Mbatwi and I think that's like Baka, both Central African hunter-gatherer populations show levels of Eurasian gene flow that are intermediate between levels observed in the Khoisan and Yorubans. And then it says, this is mirrored by inferred IMFs for Central African hunter-gatherers, which are significantly lower than other Niger-Congo groups. So again, it's saying that West Central African hunter-gatherers, like pygmies, which are significantly lower than other Niger-Congo groups. They have the least Eurasian DNA when it comes to these sub-Saharan African populations. So let me just show you a chart really quick, and then we can move on, because this is a good paper. It talks a lot about Eurasian gene flow into the Holocene and stuff like that. But I want to get to the graph. Actually, here's a graph that shows it right here. So here's like the order of populations that have the most Eurasian DNA. So first it's Afro-Asiatic populations in Africa, then it's Nilo-Saharan, then it's Niger-Congo, then way down here it's like Pygmy and Khoisan. But there's like a graph that shows a map as well. Let me find that really quick. So here it is. So it says, this bottleneck out of Africa. Then it says right here, West Eurasians. And then it first goes to like Eastern Africa and Western Africa. And the only reason like Mbatwi and Baka, pygmies, the only reason these populations have West Eurasian DNA is because it comes from West Africans, specifically E1B1A populations. And then the last group to get West Eurasian DNA is the Khoisan right here. And it talks about it in the paper right here. Let's see where I want to start to just so y'all can kind of get the idea. Actually, it speaks for itself. I don't feel like reading all this. I want to get back to the comments. But again, the title of the paper, so y'all can read it on your own, because I want to wrap this up. We're almost done here. Ancient admixture into Africa from the ancestors of non-Africans. And again, the reason I brought that up is because he claimed that hold on, let me see if I can find it. He claimed that, however, in all of Africa, they have the lowest amounts and lowest amounts of Neolithic Eurasian admixture. I think that was a typo, but no, Yoruba groups don't have the lowest amounts. It's actually Mbatwi, Baka, and Khoisan.
This nigga was clearly lying.
And so he says,
So wait a minute. No, that's not slide past that. So, because what's gonna happen is his WHY friends and everybody else will be like, I don't see what he said was wrong. The nigga was wrong on everything.
Everything.
You've been wrong on every fucking thing.
And backtrack too.
And that's because you start backstroking like Michael Phelps in the Olympics. You start doing shit like that because you notice you're getting your ass killed. You're getting your ass kicked. Your teeth is falling out your mouth. You leaking. You understand? You stumbling all over the place. Vision blurry. You done got your ass beat so fucking much. You were wrong about the percentage. You was wrong about the date. And here's another thing. What does outdated mean? Outdated does not mean using an older source. Outdated means there's been information that updated that, and no one uses that old data, the older data anymore because it has been updated. That's what outdated means.
Right.
I can quote something from 2008. As long as it's still accurate, it's good.
Right. Like there's papers from 2013 that said Jews are not Khazars, and you can still use that paper today.
Right.
It may be from 2013, it may be very old, but it's still relevant.
Big facts, bro. So he was wrong about this percentage. He was wrong about that paper. Oh, you used the paper from 2015 when the paper was from 2020, right? You was wrong about your assessment on the papers in the Green Sahara, which proved that EM2 was in North Africa.
Multiple papers that talk about
you was quoting like, oh, I'm proving they was. The papers say they were. You wrote a whole thread of wrongness from the top to the bottom, man.
They done left me in here with this retarded son of a bitch. He ain't got no name tag on or nothing.
Go ahead, G.
Whole thread was cow manure. But anyways, so he says, so what are you arguing? So what are you really arguing? Oh my gosh, I'm arguing, like I've been telling him, arguing for a North African origin of E-M2. He just forgot the whole argument at this point. The admixture dates for Yoruba are the oldest in Africa. Again, not true. There's actually older admixture events for a lot of groups in North Africa. But anyways, and they have the least admixture out of any group. See the picture attached. And actually, the paper I just showed you, it's the Mbatwi, and it's the Mbatwi, the Baka, and the Khoisan. Yeah, the Mbatwi and Baka and the Khoisan. Just show you all that really quick. Here's the paper. And this paper, by the way, came out in 2020. Really good paper illustrating this stuff. So let's get back to the comment here. Can y'all see it? So, all right, so let's start here. So, okay, we're getting somewhere. All right, so this is what I say. Okay, we're getting somewhere. West African related populations like Yoruba carry Ibero-Mauritian DNA and West Eurasian DNA, but they don't have the lowest amounts of Neolithic Eurasian admixture. Actually, it would be hunter-gatherer populations with the lowest. already illustrated that. But my argument isn't that Yoruba have the oldest admixture in Africa. What I've been arguing this whole time is a North African Green Sahara origin for E-M2. That's what this whole conversation has been about. Come on, dude, stay on topic. And so here is him getting just more stuff wrong. So he says, you're trying to argue they're Israelites. When did I ever try to argue that they're Israelites? This whole time in this conversation, I haven't really been talking much about Israelites. I've only been talking about an origin for E-M2. See, he wants to go down this whole nother rabbit hole. And I already said to Fabian that, hey, I'm not here to talk about Israelites.
You know why? Because niggas don't know how to argue the point at hand.
Right.
This is what
right.
you do on social media. You want to do the scatterbrain shit. Want to get scattered and talk about 1,000 things. Talk about the topic at hand. If we were talking about Israelites, then we would talk about Israelites. We'll talk about North African origin of EM2.
Exactly.
You have a problem with. That's why you're moving on to this. This is
moving the
what y'all
goalposts.
do. You move the goalposts. You try to throw 1,000 red herrings in there to distract from the original fucking point because you can't win it.
Mm-hmm. I can care less.
This is you waving the proverbial white flag. That's what you're doing right here, man.
Right, trying to change the whole conversation. I can care less about Israelites when I'm talking about a completely different topic. I mean, anyways.
Let me show something real quick before you finish reading this.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm gonna go back to my PowerPoint here. And this is from the African Gene Variation Project supplemental. And he was like, oh, it's just a Yoruba. No, they found it in Igbo. Found it in Yoruba. These ranges overlap. They also found it in the Hola and the Wolof. What do these blue dots mean? Eurasian admixture. That's what we see here in all these groups. 150, 200, 100 to 200 generations ago. You times 100 times 29 is 2,900, about 3,000 years ago, right? Same thing for the Hola. Oh, that was the Wolof. Then you got the Jola right here, about the same range, between 150 and 300, 150 300 for the Yoruba, 250 to 350 for the Igbo. So they have these Igbo, these Eurasian admin. We covered this before. You ain't even put your pinky toe in the damn kiddie pool yet. We did a deep dive on this already. That's why you're getting your ass kicked, man. Go ahead, G.
All right. Let me see. Wait, hold on. Push this. So he says, you're trying to argue they're Israelites and made their way during the Iron Age. Again, that's him thinking that 1000 BP is the Iron Age when 1000 BP is before present, which is the AD era. And by the way, if y'all saw the post, and y'all been seeing what I've been saying throughout the post, I never talked about Israelites. Anyways. But they don't fit the bill. E-M2 doesn't fit the bill at all. And then he quotes this paper, and this paper right here talks about Chadic populations, and I don't really see the relevance of it. I guess I'll read some of it, but basically he says, guess what? They use Yoruba to represent sub-Saharan African in each case. That goes to show that goes to show you how insignificant the amount they carry is compared to many other African populations. No, it doesn't. When they're using Yoruba as like a proxy, they use that for like West Africans only. But when they use that Yoruba as a proxy, the Yoruba isn't going to be used for like pygmies and Baka and Khoisan and stuff. Like if they're trying to test the West African population, that's the only reason they use Yoruba. But just because they do that, that doesn't mean Yoruba don't have Eurasian DNA. And it doesn't mean they don't have ancient North African DNA, which you admitted that Yoruba had 13% Ibero-Maurusian DNA and 5% Western Eurasian DNA. So You already kind of cut yourself up here. Let me actually show that again. You state, this is him. The study specifically states 13% Ibero-Maurusians, 5% which is Western Eurasian. So don't really understand this comment. Anyways, so if indeed E-M2 recently migrated from North Africa, we would expect to see signals of these other admixture events, but we don't. They only have admixture from an event that occurred 10,000 years ago. They have no signals.
No, they don't. Pause. That's a lie. They don't. And I just showed you the Jola, the Wolof, the Fulani all have signatures from 3,000. You can have old and young genetic admixture dates. You don't contain every part of your history in your genes. Why? Something called genetic drift. The further you get away from that source population, you start migrating and admixing with an external population, you begin to pick up more and more genes from them. And the older DNA degrades over time and becomes so segregated that you can't even read it. That's why we're just now finding out about this stuff, right? So what you're saying is not true, because we do see the Fola, the Jola, the Fulani.
Did you want to go to your post and show it again?
Having younger dates, man. This is just simple. Again, we covered this before. You ain't even put your pinky toe in the kiddie pool yet. As you can see, 100 to 100, 200, 150 to 250. That's about 3,500 years ago for the Jola and the Wolof. And the Yoruba is within that range too, because it starts about 125 generations. The upper bound is 300 generations. 125 generations is about 3,000 years, 3,500, 3,750 years, give or take.
And those blue dots are Eurasian DNA, says right there.
Eurasian admixture, yeah.
Eurasian admixture, yeah.
Which makes sense, because when you look, this is from the paper about the Chadic population, you see an expansion that goes west and east. West and east in this direction. And then you have an older one that contributes to that, some argue, for the RVA8, which is also a population that was in North Africa, because North Africa and Levant's pretty much a genetic continuum.
Right.
So you're wrong on that too, man.
Yep. So let's let me do this. All right. So we kind of covered that. So let's get to the next comment.
Got some information that you bitch niggas would hate to know.
And so I tell him, in this whole discussion, I wasn't arguing anything concerning Israelites. I just said that not too long ago. Don't be disingenuous. This entire conversation was about the North African origins of E-M2. As for the Israelite discussion, that's a totally different conversation that I can prove, by the way, but I won't go into it today. And then I say, like I said, the whole point of the conversation was about the E-M2 origins being in North Africa, which I proved. And so I'm not going to read my whole comment. It's not really that impactful, and I won't read the next comment either. But I think he accidentally reposts his same comment or whatever. But here's the part where I know this guy is clearly a racist. So he says, I'm not going back and forth, because I told him that I don't want to be going back and forth with him. But somewhere up there. But he says, it's not a back and forth. You decided to comment on my post. I didn't look for your post. It wouldn't be a back and forth if you didn't reply to begin with. Actually, no, I just made one reply, and then I was done once you said that the post wasn't about E-M2. I said, okay, and I gave a thumbs up. Let me just quickly show that for y'all, because I didn't try to make this into a long diatribe. He said this was only about, he said this was only about, JR and E1B1B and stuff like that. And then I just say, got it. I was done. But he decided to drag it on. So let me get back to the relevant comment at hand. So So he says, for the gotcha moment, there's no point gained for common sense. Your claims have no legs, baseless, so it's not a big deal to tear apart your web of lies and false narrative. It's funny that the man who's backtracking is the one saying this, like who had to admit Yoruba did have Ibero-Mauritian DNA. And he said that Yoruba populations have minuscule amounts, 1 to 3% of Eurasian DNA. Funny, the guy who's backpedaling is saying this. Anyways, evidently, you have a personal bias towards the origins of your own haplogroup and your BHI ideology. By the way, I'm not a BHI. I don't have any BHI ideology. When it comes to the Jewish population, I do believe that they are real Jews. Doesn't matter if they're haplogroup J, haplogroup E, haplogroup T, haplogroup R. If they follow the culture, then they're Jews. I have no BHI ideology. They had all types of ranging skin tones. There would have been white Israelites. There would have been brown Israelites. And yes, there would have been black skinned Israelites. Not a BHI, bro. And then he says, as for your claims of the 10K admixture, by the way, I even liked his post and told him I agreed with most of what he said. So for him to say that I'm a BHI is really bad, because I told him, I'm sorry, y'all, that I keep going back to the original post. But him calling me a BHI is such a lie. I just have to just show how I said I agree with most of this information, because I literally made videos almost a year ago saying the same thing. And most of his information talks about haplogroup J, R, here, let me just push it. Most of his post talks about J and R and T and stuff like that being Israelite. And like I told him, I agree with most of his information. I just disagreed with the E-M2 part. So for him to be like, oh, you're just a BHI is just very disingenuous. Let me get to the relevant comment. If I go up against BHIs all the time, if anything, they call me white and mamzer and make all type of rude comments to me. So I'm not a BHI. As for your claims of the 10K admixture being inaccurate, I never said that the 10K admixture was accurate. Y'all saw everything that I said to him. Not once did I say, oh, that 10,000 years ago admixture was inaccurate. I never said that. So that's another lie. LOL, typical. You're not a geneticist. Neither are you, Adam Nazareth. You're not a geneticist either. So I don't know why you said that. I can literally say it right back to you. Or anyone reputed enough to make that statement. Again, says the guy who's backtracking. It's always the same with you people. I wonder what he means by you people. Like black people? Like what?
You niggas.
Yeah.
Well, he did use the statement ninja a few times in the last post that I had made. If y'all didn't see it.
Yeah, that's true.
Called us ninjas like 3 or 4 times.
This bitch
and
ass
literally
nigga
spelt it ninja.
Right, yeah, because these bitch ass niggas on this bitch crying, bro, because getting their ass whooped scholastically. You know what I'm saying? You ain't fucking with us. You ain't gonna jump in the ring. This is what you gonna do. Cry your bitch ass out. What are you doing, bro?
This is him right now.
Yeah, that was him the other day, man. That's all them niggas do. That's all they can do.
Keyboard
clickety-clack,
warriors.
clickety-clack, clickety-clack, clickety-clack. You say you're not a geneticist, but you make all these damn claims against geneticists.
Literally.
Yo, that meme is loud as hell.
Yeah, my bad. That's sort of the
What
point.
he doing. I got you, Sean. This is what he doing, man. He was doing that shit though. I just have a question for this incel.
Bitch, who raised you?
But you know what happened when you beat a motherfucker ass. I know exactly what happened.
Check it out. Dang. Look, remember? Nights like this, I wish raindrops would fall. Nights like this, I wish raindrops would fall. Nights like this, I wish raindrops would fall.
That's him, man.
Nights like this. Anyways, so let's get back to it. Where was I? So he says, it's always the same with you people. If it doesn't fit your narrative, it becomes, oh, it's the evil white man's science. Actually, he's being very racist right here. Because not once did I ever say that, oh, evil white man scientist. It's funny because I'm using genetic papers. Like I linked him genetic papers. I'm talking about genetic papers. I never disagreed with any genetic papers. And you can see right here that basically what he's doing is that he is not following along with the conversation at hand. He's going down a completely left field, trying to divert the conversation about E-M2 having a North African origin because he has nothing else left to do but make ad hominem attacks. So let's get to the next comment. So it says, and you keep pushing for an Iron Age migration event for E-M2 from North Africa, but it's not real. Again, when did I ever say that there was a migration event in the Iron Age? Again, this is him not understanding BP means before present. And then he says, you lack the autosomal markers and alleles. You lack the autosomal markers and alleles. No signatures of any of the post-Holocene mixture events, which changed the genetic landscape of North Africa, Horn/East Africa, and Levant. Events that left the footprints, i.e., haplogroups E-M2, was not the haplogroup associated with any of those West Eurasian migrations into Africa. Again, going back to his comment, what did he say up here? 13% Ibero-Maurutians, 5%, which is West Eurasian. Man, oh man. And so then he says, the study I posted it here, and he talks about the Chaddick paper, and I'm not going to go into all that because I don't disagree with the Chaddick paper. I don't know why he's bringing this up. Like, obviously, yeah, Chaddick populations have a West Eurasian DNA, and that actually kind of debunks what he's saying because you have populations like RV88 in Cameroon. So I don't see how that helps him. Anyways,
Was there West Africans too, which is the dumb part about it.
Exactly. So that's why I'm kind of like, I don't see the relevance in that. So I sent him another comment again, another post. This is it right here. I'm not going to read what I said because I resent him what I said earlier at top because he never commented to this, still hasn't. And so I'm just going to go ahead and go to the next portion of this. And this is me telling Alexander to join the Biblical Rumble Room because he couldn't see my post. And then I kind of go in at him. And I don't know if he says anything. All right, so he doesn't say anything else after that. There's another section I want to get to, but I think he may have deleted his comment. Wait, no. He may not have deleted his comment. Actually, I have to go to my presentation that I have so y'all can see this next comment he made because y'all not going to be able to see that comment. So let me change over here to this one. And I just want to put right here. Wait, hold on. Where is it? Where's the relevant comment? I want to show y'all just again him denying. All right, here it is. This is again him denying the. Wait, I'm trying to do this. Here it is. Him denying the 8% West Eurasian DNA. So again, he says, it's what the study says that you said 8% something West Eurasian in Yoruba. Yeah, right. 3 laughing emojis. So let's transition now from this over to the presentation that I sort of made because it deals with this next portion. So let me see if I can actually do this. I need to move this right here. And then I need to pull this up right there. And that should be it. And hide that. Oops. Hold on. Sorry about that. There we go. All right. Here's my presentation that I sort of made. Let me just scroll to the more relevant section. All right. So again, like I said, this was his comment that he made. It's what the study says. And you said 8% something West Eurasian in Yoruba. Yeah, right. So he says, yeah, right. Yoruba don't have 8% West Eurasian DNA. So here's the paper that I'm talking about. The paper is titled Insights into Human Genetic Variation and Population History from 929 Diverse Genomes. Let's read over here what it says. It says, the most likely source for this is West Eurasian admixture. And assuming a simple linear relationship to Neanderthal ancestry, our estimates implies 8.6% Eurasian ancestry in Yoruba. All right, so let's see what he's talking about. So he says, let me scroll to the part. Sorry about that, y'all. Here's the paper he thinks he's talking about. All right, so he says right here, now as for the 8.3% Eurasian in Yoruba, you got that figure from the paper, which was previously titled Ethiopian Genome Reveals Extensive Eurasian Admixture throughout the African continent, 8th October 2015. But due to bioinformatics errors, the renamed the paper Ancient Ethiopian Genome Reveals Extensive Eurasian Admixture in Eastern Africa, 19th February 2016. So this is the paper he thinks that I'm quoting from. And I'm not going to like read the whole paper, but basically there was a sample called MODA, and in the paper, well, actually, can you basically explain it? The paper that he thinks.
Oh, the Motor Man. So the originally when this first broke news, they found that the Motor Man, which is E1B1A2, but at the time they thought it was E1B1 EP2. The Motor Man showed that he had different admixture than like present day populations that are in the same region as Motor Man in the Ethiopian highlands. Many of those Ethiopian highlanders have high Eurasian rates. So they were trying to figure out, okay, if the Motor Man is dated, with a median range of 4,500 years ago, about 2,500 BCE, then this Eurasian admixture at these elevated rates must have happened after 2,500 BCE. And they came to a guesstimate of 3,000 years ago that there was a large influx of Eurasians that dumped into Africa. Initially, the paper claimed that it was pretty much all over Africa, that this West Eurasian influx of people affected. That's initially what they said. Then they retracted it after a year, I think the year after that, they retracted that statement and said it was only limited to the East and the South. But if you keep going after that paper, they had another paper that said, well, actually, that same 3,000 year, they were actually correct in the 2015 paper. It's because that same 3,000 year influx of Africans did actually penetrate the Central West Africa.
That would be the Bantu expansion, wouldn't it? It would be around the time of the Bantu expansion.
We marry that with that because that's around the same time. Mm-hmm. We marry it with that. This racist wouldn't, because again, Black people don't have an ancestry. Go ahead.
Right. So he says, you have a big issue. I don't know if it's bad research or if you're a liar and deliberately being misleading by referencing the studies with errors when there are corrections and updates which you ignore. I guess bad science and errors they suit your narrative are fine to use, which is actually what he's doing. Second time you've done this. Until you start being straight and truthful, I don't deal with liars and agents of the devil.
You know what straight and truthful mean? Agree with me on all my points.
Exactly.
That's what straight and truthful mean. Because all we're doing is reading sources. We're just reading the source of what it says. You're not agreeing with the source or trying to find fault with it. And you keep falling on your face every fucking time. With this example, that paper that you're saying came from 2015 actually is 2020. Jackass.
I'm about to get into.
Oh, you ain't got there. My bad. I didn't mean to spoil it.
But so yeah, he says you until you start being straight and truthful. I don't deal with liars and agents of the devil. You twist and mislead others. I know 10,000%. You've seen the I'm gonna try to pronounce that for the ancient
erratum. So erratum means when if you erudite something, you go back and make a minor change or something.
Erratum.
Yeah.
Seen the erratum for the ancient Ethiopian study. Again, he thinks I'm quoting the Ethiopian study. Oh my goodness, y'all gonna laugh when you see this. And until the updated models in the Druziani study, but you've
conveniently don't bring it up.
Yeah, you conveniently don't bring it up. You're a piece of work. Oh, so sad.
You're a piece of shit. I got stuff for that, you piece of shit. Go ahead.
So he thinks I'm quoting this paper right here. I'm just gonna go up so y'all can see it. Right. Oh, sorry, it was right here. Right here, 8.6% Eurasian and Yoruba ancient Ethiopian genome reveals extensive Eurasian admixture throughout the African continent. October 15th. Thinks I'm quoting that paper. I'm just showing you right here. Ancient Ethiopian genome reveals extensive Eurasian admixture throughout the African continent, 2015. So this is the paper he thinks I'm quoting. I'm not quoting this paper that talks about 8.6%. I'm actually talking about this paper, Insights into Human Genetic Variation and Population History from 929 diverse genomes. I'll actually read it. It literally says, the most likely...
Got some information that you bitch niggas would hate to know.
The most likely source for this is West Eurasian admixture. And assuming a simple linear relationship to Neanderthal ancestry, our estimates implies 8.6% Eurasian ancestry in Yoruba.
I got some information that you bitch niggas would hate to know.
Not this paper. Let me put it side by side. Let me show. Actually, he makes another comment talking about the 8.6%. Let me read it real quick. So he says, "You could never make me eat my words." Oh, I'm making you eat my word. I'm making you eat these words real hard.
Yeah, you're eating them right now, boy. How did hibachi taste, bitch?
You don't have the intellectual capacity to do so. Oh, man.
All you do is lie.
Go ahead, read it. Read
it.
Bro.
Use outdated studies or studies with errors that support your BS. But when those studies are shown to contain errors, when people like David Wright come out, who's a world-renowned professor of genetics at Harvard, who has been one of the greatest assets to uncovering secrets of the past civilization using ancient DNA, that brought it to light and was thanked by the scientists. Yeah, you running with your erroneous 8.6% Eurasian ancestry when he and others corrected this laughing face. You're here running with the old model, which was rejected. Keep up the bad academia, typical of your kind, nigger. I'm not surprised. not an honest individuals amongst you.
So again, he's
bitch, who raised you?
So again, he's claiming that I'm getting the 8.6% of Eurasian DNA from this paper right here. Ancient Ethiopian genome reveals extensive Eurasian admixture throughout the African continent from 2015. Again, he's saying that I'm using outdated studies. He's saying that the studies have errors, yada, yada, yada. Actually, sir, ancient Ethiopian genomes reveals extensive Eurasian admixture throughout the African continent was from 2015. I was quoting a paper from 2020, Insights into Human Genetic Variation and Population History from 929 diverse genomes.
Got some information that you bitch niggas would hate to know.
I'm using updated papers. You're the one focusing on outdated papers. All of this that you said points to you, bro. All of it. 2020. Let me just show y'all again. This is the same paper. Oh man, this is fun. This is light work, bro. This is
Bitch niggas, I ain't fucking with your kind.
Again, insights into human genetic variation and population history from 929 diverse genomes. The likely source for this is West Eurasian admixture and assuming a symbilinear relationship to Neanderthal ancestry, or estimates implies 8.6% Eurasian ancestry in Yoruba. And by the way, I don't even think this paper that he thinks I'm quoting says like Yoruba had 8.6%. I don't even think this paper says that. This paper does say it from 2020, but this 2015 paper, I don't even think it gave like percentages. It talked about Modaman, not Ethiopians. So here's the thing, you guys. This dude knows nothing about E1B1A, nothing about Yoruba-related populations. It's clear that he doesn't even know the updated science and these studies because he's thinking I'm quoting stuff from 2015 when really I'm quoting stuff from 2020. He doesn't know anything about these genetic papers. He really shouldn't be taken seriously. And this is why this will be my last video on him, because frankly, he's irrelevant and there's actually bigger cats to focus on.
You niggas bitches. Where y'all purses?
And so I think the last thing I'll say is somewhere around here. And again, he goes back to the 8.6%. He's talking to a guy called Abraham Ali. You want to read that comment? You should really quick. I need to swallow my
yeah, so he says here, thank you. That's exactly my point. This clown nigger thinks he's arguing with me as if I just made these things up, when in fact, it literally follows up in the most up-to-date info. Like I said, he claimed Ibero-Mauritians are a mix of Yoruba, Hadza, and Natufian. He also claimed Yoruba are 8% West Eurasian. First point is rejected by later Dizuna study, which strongly rejects a two-way model for Yoruba, plus Natufi Ibero-Mauritians. They also reject any three-way model. Totally debunks its claims. Ha, ha, ha. As for 8% Eurasians, David Reich, OG professor of genetics from Harvard, detected a bioinformatics error in the study. The scientist then had to produce new tables and figures, wrote an erratum, and completely changed the title of the study. Yet this dude is LARPing and going around with these old nigger models and erroneous values. You can't make this up. Emotional nigger bias can't handle the truth.
Oh, the irony and the fact that I'm not even quoting this 2015 paper, but I'm quoting a 2020 paper. He's the one that's back in the day using old dated stuff.
Got some information that you bitch niggas would hate to know.
And then again, he doesn't address any more comments. He just used ad hominem attacks, talking about him using bad academia, even though he doesn't know these genetic papers, claiming that I'm quoting a paper that I'm not quoting at all. So then a guy called Abraham Ali says, "You're a walking, talking L. You think I give any credence or respect anything you have to say? Your bad academia speaks for itself." So Abraham Ali and various other people are like basically rooting for Adam Nazareth, who's completely getting everything wrong bit by bit. It's like they're his cheerleaders, and they're not even. It's because a black person saying this, I have to automatically be wrong. And since he's a non-black person, he has to automatically be right.
Bitch, who raised you?
Like Abraham Ali could have at least heard my points or try to ask me what was I trying to say. He just completely agrees with Adam. So yeah. He said, how is let me see. He says, how is wrong typos anyways, when 99% of his comments isn't even his words. You see that 99% of his comments isn't his words, but
directly from the studies. So you're basically claiming the science is wrong because I've looked at the images and it's all there, but not his words. So you're refuting the science. Actually, that's what he's doing. He's saying the science is wrong. He said, "Oh, they made errors here. This is fake because this was fucked up, and they made a mistake here, and everybody wrong, but him."
Exactly.
Actually, he's been doing that this whole goddamn time. But again, when you have a blind allegiance to anybody racist, just like the BHIs, the WHI is no different. You have a blind allegiance to anyone who's racist because they're speaking your language, your love language, which is racism.
Exactly. Because isn't this comment right here from Adam Nazareth, all of this, isn't this basically him spewing his own imagination?
Yeah.
Because all of this right here.
Bitch, who raised you?
There's no quoting studies and all that. But anyways, here's another comment. He's from Abraham Alley. He says, his sources are all follow-ups to yours, and they directly reference these changes. What I'm getting is you disagree with the newer research papers and updates.
Actually, he disagrees with the newer research and updated papers because as of March 2020, the Yoruba have that 8% Eurasian admixture. So he disagrees.
Got some information that you bitch niggas would hate to know.
With the science, with the new and up-to-date science.
Quite literally. Again, all these comments that they're saying reverts right back to Adam. They're really talking about him, but they think they're talking about me. I mean, this is why racism, you guys, is bad, because it blinds you. The only reason these people are just
we're not racist, but y'all going around social media calling people pre-Adamites
and calling people ninjas. I never called him any like derogatories.
I did. Piece of face motherfucker. Goofy ass.
Bitch, who raised you?
But these people are basically the equivalent of a BHI. They're the same
WHIs, ain't no difference.
So this is the last thing I will go through, and then we can end the video because I don't want this to be too long. But again, I just basically cross-examined a lot of stuff he said. Like, for instance, he brings up the Shumlanka remains, and then he tries to backpedal and say, where's the discrepancy? No one said E-M2 groups are synonymous with Shumlanka. Then why bring them up in the first place? What's the point if you weren't trying to connect us to them? Let's get to the next thing that he backpedals on. He says, there's a lot that he says in this, but basically he says we have are close to 100% sub-Saharan African with very minimal North African / Levantine admixture. And then over here, what do I make him say? The study specific. When did I say Yoruba have 0 Ibero-Mauritian? You can't read. The study specifically stated 13% Ibero-Mauritians, 5% of which is Western Eurasian. So I made him backpedal on that, talking about we have very little to no North African DNA. Got him on that. Let's get to the next comment. He says, who cares about 1, 2, 3, or even 5% of minuscule compared to that of other African populations? Again, I get him to say 13% Ibero-Mauritian, way over 1, 2, 3, and 5%. And then he says, where's E-M2? Where's E-M2 is more Western specific. Oh, wait, no, I want to read this part. Whilst E-M2 evolved in West Africa. So he's saying that evolved in West Africa. But this paper right here literally says the E-M2 Bantu lineages lie phylogenetically within the E-M2 Green Sahara lineage in North Africa. And just going to recap this, 8.6% Eurasian and Yoruba. He thinks that's a lie coming from the Ethiopian paper, not coming from the Ethiopian paper in 2015, but actually from the 2020 paper. And he mocks some more about 8% DNA being in the Yoruba people, again, coming from an updated paper. He's rejecting the science. Again, basically backpedaling and mocking the 8.6%, calling it erroneous. And again, talking about the David Wright paper when I'm not talking about that paper at all, talking about this one, 8.6% Eurasian ancestry in Yoruba.
Got some information that you bitch niggas would hate to know.
And that's all I have to say concerning that. And the last thing I have is this when it comes to everything he said.
I wonder if you know that I know he's lying right now. You ready? Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god. Stop fucking lying. Always lying to me. You time you tell me something, I figure that you're lying. Ooh, it's almost like you faking. Oh yeah, yeah, I know you're lying, but you sound excited, and you know that I know that you lying.
Lying motherfuckers.
You insecure fucking prick. It's like your brain doesn't fucking work. You idiot. You're honestly an idiot. I don't know what's wrong with you. You think you're the shit, whereas you're far from it. You're still stupid in your fucking head. You idiot. You're honestly an idiot. You're an imbecile. I mean, you fucking prick. Fucking prick. Only way this will get through to your thick head, prick. Fuck you.
That's exactly. Hey, well said. I concur. That's how I fucking feel. Fuck you niggas, man. We don't give a fuck about none of you niggas. Hope it rain on you niggas. You know what I'm saying? BHI, like, we coming from 1, 2, YAP games coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, you can find your body in a ditch. And
we're done.
WHIs are some bitches. Let's go, bro.
Yeah, we're done with this dude, Adam. I'm not gonna focus on him anymore. He's irrelevant. He's been washed, and I'm gonna focus on bigger cuts. I'm gonna focus on people who actually have more. I don't know, more of a problem, I guess, when it comes to.
Yeah, y'all just fucking trolls on Facebook, man. Like I said, everybody want to be a troll until they found underneath the bridge just like one. Gang. We out of here, y'all. And like I said, stay shiesty. Fuck the ops. No, for real. Fuck the ops.
SpongeBob hoes, I know we miss that. Oh, that's catchy. Makes no what's going on.
Load it up.
All that tough talk, nigga, come be target practice. These 223s taking souls and they doing damage. Stink team with them niggas with exotic fast. So young bitchin' in my ear, I just flew fly him. Gangin' them just strip that nigga pieces, grab his phone after. Monkey nuts jumping out that chop, going chimpanzee. Gave him SpongeBob hoes, I know he miss Sandy. Hit her up with donut hoes, he just yell Randy. They ain't on nothing, cock back and blow some. Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. I think you owe some, strip, he's a pole dancer. He only said one word and I just start blasting. They ain't on nothing. Cock back and blow some. Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. I think you owe some. Strip, he's a pole dancer. He only said one word and I just start blasting. Nigga, they ain't know nothing. Cock back and blow some, bitch. Nigga, Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. Nigga, yeah. I think you owe some. Strip, he's a pole dancer.
You know the truth.
He only said one word and I just start blasting.
Had to flee the scene, it was kinda graphic. It's our first mixtape, but we been established. Give him 32 shots, I'm finna show him magic. Off the muscle, nigga, this a guaranteed classic. If we popping out, you know I'm bringing stick, of course. Ballin' out on niggas, I ain't out here tryna play no sport. Kick her out the crib, tell a bitch not to fight the force. Strip a tall nigga, pockets loose, he came up short. Niggas nerves and dorks, count these automatic bullets. Hit him in his head, turned his dreadlocks into a mullet. I think you owe something, strip for me, give it up. Got home and hit the field again, that was not enough. Like a nigga double dutch, hop, skip, run and jump. Tripping, falling, pulling up his jeans, he was out of luck. Too gritty, bitch, this for life, this is not for fun. Niggas took my dog, now all these niggas be hard to trust.
They ain't on nothing, cock back and blow some. Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. I think you owe some. Strip, he's a pole dancer. He only said one word and I just start blasting. They ain't on nothing, cock back and blow some. Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. I think you owe some. Strip, he's a pole dancer. He only said one word and I just start blasting. Nigga, they ain't know nothing, cock back and blow some, bitch. Nigga, Hun Diddy's all on the flow, I'm a stove cracker. Nigga, I think you owe some. Strip, he's a pole dancer. He only said one word and I just start blasting.